Now everybody put your hands together to welcome the Educator of the Year, Dr. Gerard Wieczkowski.
Could I have house lights? Could I have the house lights on? I've got to talk to my students and I can't see them. Thank you. Thank you, Donna, and thank you to my favorite class of 2011 for this great honor. But in fact, you have honored me for the past 3 years when you have opened your hearts, your minds, your eyes, and your ears to me when we met in the clinic. And that was something very, very special to me, and I thank you for that. But this is not my day, this is your day, and this is your day also. All you moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas, husbands and wives, kids, sorted aunts and uncles, neighbors, and friends. And I know what each group, I know what you have gone through, and I know what you went through. I know what you went through because I was part of the situation that made your days so happy at the Down School. Okay, and maybe sometimes so trying. And I certainly know what all of you have gone through. My wife and I have 3 kids, each went to graduate school, so I know how much you have suffered with the care packages and the telephone calls and listening to your students when they called you. But I'm convinced that we as parents suffer more than the kids do for what they're going through. I'm convinced of that. But your day will come. Someday you'll hear. When I tried to decide what kind of a talk to give, my 2 Lady Gaga monsters, Dr. McHenry and McLean, said, heck, all you need is a light show and 6 or 7 changes in costume. Well, I thought the light show might be too much for some of the senior faculty sitting behind me. And I don't know how exciting me changing from one white shirt into another would make you do. But Gina, what that means is that you, Gina, where are you? What that means, Gina, is that you will not get to see the excellent outfit that you designed for me for the Lady Gaga concert. But that might be just as well. So I think what I'm going to do with this talk is I'm going to do me doing an impression of Brian Wendling, doing an impression of me giving this talk. So Brian, let me know how I do, all right? Listen, you are a very special class to me. You know, I've been teaching here for 6 decades. Dr. Brown can help you with the math on that if you need it. But you are one of a handful of my favorite classes. But it is not only I who think that. The faculty shares that same feeling of your class. Your academic achievements, your dedication to clinical dentistry, your involvement in BOCA, your involvement in various community and organized dental efforts are really, really appreciated. And I think we, the faculty, would like to now thank you for your efforts. You truly are a good class. You're very cohesive, and you just have a wonderful personality, and we will truly miss you. I don't know if very many of you know how I first met members of your class. It was in the spring of 2008. We hadn't met as yet. The operative technique course was going to begin in the summer, the old summer extension. But the class of 2008 asked me to drive the pop and beer cart during the Billy Brew tournament. So as I was driving around, you know, taking the refreshments to the various foursomes on the course, I ran across this rather forlorn-looking foursome. They were in the rough. They each had their handles of their golf clubs in the rough, obviously looking for a ball, and I don't know how long they had been there. So I drove up, offered them some beer. I didn't know who they were. They looked very thirsty, so I offered them some beer. They, of course, took him, took quite a few, as a matter of fact. So I kind of was walking back to the cart. Now, what do you think a typical reaction of those 4 students should have been? You know, maybe, geez, thank you, or boy, how nice of you to come by. The only thing I heard was, should we tip the old guy? Old guy? That illustrious foursome consisted of Bergie, Ezra, Tommy Blount, and Nolan. But from that rather austere meeting, you and I have grown together in these past years, and it's been wonderful. So what kind of words of wisdom can I give you? I, like you, have learned a lot from your parents. I mean, they, I think, are the best teachers. So I'm just going to share a few vignettes. My grandmother in 1926 began a bakery. At that time, she was 29 years old, a single parent. My dad was 11 years old. And she started her own business. Talk about women's lib. I mean, she started a business as a single parent back in 1926. She worked very hard at it, obviously. She did everything from scrubbing the floors to putting the pastries out on the counter for sale. I was a little kid, and we would be outside, and she would point to a crack in the sidewalk, and there would be a blade of grass or perhaps a weed, and she would say, "Gary, do you know how hard that blade of grass had to work to break through that concrete?" Well, when I was a little kid, I kind of thought that's what was really happening. But the lesson there is hard work. And the lesson is that doing good dentistry is not always easy. It can be very hard sometimes. But it's up to you to do the good dentistry and to do the right dentistry. The crown that doesn't fit, margin is open. Could you cement it and have to redo it in a couple years? Yeah, but that's not right. The large molar that's got all kind of patchwork dentistry on it, a buccal cusp falls off. Yeah, you could just pat some resin on there, but that's not the right thing to do. That might be the easy thing to do, but that's not the right thing to do. Good dentistry is not easy to do. But remember, if it's worth doing well. My dad was probably the greatest guy I ever met. Just a very kind, genuine man. And one day, we were going to visit my aunt who lived in Lockport. I was 15 at the time, and I was on the verge of applying for my driver's permit, so my dad let me sit in the front seat of our 49 Buick. My mom and kid brother sat in the back seat. As we were driving up to my aunt who lived in Lockport, we had to cross the canal, the Barts Canal. We came upon a single-lane steel-decked bridge. So my dad, ever so cautious, kind of drove up to the front of it, looked, saw nobody coming, so he took off and started going very carefully. Well, he got about 3/4 of the way across this bridge, and bam, here comes another guy from the other side, stopped grill to grill. We really didn't know what to do. That guy opened his car door, kind of stuck his head out and said, waving his fist, he says, "You're going to have to back up because I never back up for a jerk." He actually used a much stronger word than that. But he said, "I never back up for a jerk." My dad opened his door, kind of leaned out and said, "That's okay, I always do," as he backed down the bridge. So what's the lesson there? The lesson there is that we cannot let other people's actions or other people's words tell us how to act. We have to act by what is in our hearts and what is in our minds. If we are beholden to other people because of how they act, they are the boss of us, and that's no good. That's no good. Okay? So please always do what is in your heart, what is in your mind, what is right. Don't listen to anybody else. My mom was also a loving person, like all mothers are, pretty much. Another story, I was in grammar school. We were coming home from the schoolyard. We had been playing ball all afternoon. We were going home to dinner, and we were trying to decide where we were going to play that evening. As we were walking, one of my friends, Norby, said to the gang, he says, "Let's go to Gary's house. Gary's mom treats us like guests." I guess I had never thought of it that way, but in retrospect, she always did. So the lesson here for you is to treat your patients like guests. Listen to them. Let them talk. Do what is best for them, not what is best for you. Discuss treatment plans. Make sure that you get informed consent from them. Better still, better than just treating patients like guests, I think we should start to treat everybody like guests. This is a crazy world where leaders are killing their own people, countries are not agreeing. I think we have to make an effort to kind of come together to literally start treating each other as guests. Barack Obama, when he was in Tucson, when Congresswoman Giffords got shot, said some of the most eloquent words that I have ever heard. They are, "We are all reminded that in the fleeting time we have on earth, what matters is not wealth or power or stature, but rather how well we have loved and what small part we have played in making the lives of others better." I think our speaker today kind of exemplifies that very much, but I think it's a key that we have to learn to love one another. The last lesson I will tell you is that I learned from my wife and family. Being a dental student is very difficult, but being a faculty member sometimes, if you want to do it right, can sometimes be difficult also, and it means late hours and stuff. So I don't know how many times I was either late for dinner or missed dinner, how many times my wife and one of the kids were waiting for me in the parking lot. I'd run to the window and tell them 5 more minutes, and in my heart it was 5 more minutes, but in fact it was longer than that. So what I learned from them, from Kathy, my wife, and Jeff, and Neil, and Julie, our kids, was unconditional love. That you have to give that to those people that you love. There's nothing like it. There's nothing that will make them feel better than giving them unconditional love. One last thing about dentistry. Richard Powell, Dr. Patrick Hart received the Richard Powell Award. Richard Powell was just an absolutely fantastic person. He was the Associate Dean for Clinical Affairs of our school for many, many years. He retired in 1983. He tells the story of a person walking through a graveyard, looking down at a grave digger, and the guy's in the grave digging it out. And what the passerby notices is that all of the walls are smooth. They meet other walls, what we would call a sharp line angle. The floor is nice and flat. The passerby looks at this guy and says, why are you wasting all of your time? They're going to put the casket in there, they're going to cover it up with dirt, and no one's going to know what it looked like. The grave digger looked up and said, I'm going to know what it looks like. And that's with each of you. Your patients, by and large, will not really know the kind of dentistry that you do. They'll notice your office, your personnel, your decorations, your demeanor. They really will not know the kind of dentistry that you do. So it is up to you to know that you will know the good dentistry that you are doing, even if nobody sees it. Your patients in the long term will certainly appreciate it because they won't have to come back and back and back. Again, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing well. One last paragraph. It's not mine, but I think the words are very important, so I would like to read it to you. And I wish this to you. To do the right thing at the right time in the right way. To do some things better than they were ever done before. To eliminate errors. To know both sides of the question. To be courteous. To be an example. To love our work. To anticipate what is expected of us. To develop resources. To recognize no impediment. to master circumstances, to act from reason rather than rule, and to be satisfied with nothing short of perfection. That's my challenge to you. Lou Gehrig claimed to be the luckiest man in the world. Well, I would challenge him to that. I've had wonderful parents, a wonderful wife, 3 great kids, and now 2 wonderful grandchildren. And if that's not enough, I had the best career that anybody could wish for, that I would not trade for anything. And it is due primarily to you and each succeeding class. I would not change my career for anything. So my wish to you today is that when you are at the end of your careers, whenever that may be, you will be able to say, I had the best career that I've ever had. That is another wish. Again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much, and I will remember you forever.